Week when the president incites a mob, to disregard the law, the highest law, perhaps the most important laws, to block the democratic process. And a week when violent mob of white nationalists filled with hate tried to occupy the seat of government, and then they failed. This was an incredible week, a week that reminds us that words matter, a week that reminds us that values matter, that our actions matter, a week that reminds us that building up goodwill and trust matters, and a week that reminds us that seeking truth and serving truth matters. That matters. So Shabbat comes, right? We just sang Zol Zayin Shabbos, let there be Shabbos. Shabbos comes this week as a relief, as a respite. I urge you to take a break from the news cycle for 25 hours now, right? And take Shabbat to recharge and to renew yourself and to refresh yourself, to reconnect with your community and with your loved ones. Shabbat comes now as a time for us to affirm goodness, the goodness of community, and the goodness that God and the Torah speak about. When Shabbat, the very first Shabbat, was first created at the beginning of time, God said, Vayar v'hinei tov ma'od. God saw all that had been created and said, Tov ma'od, it's very good. So we need to affirm goodness for all of those people who have, for all of the people who have bad intentions in the world. We come to affirm goodness, and Shabbat comes to help us affirm goodness starting now. So Shabbat Shalom to everybody. It's great to have everybody here, to be with community. It's great, especially to have our rabbinic intern and vocalist, Leah Karnow, leading us in song, and she's accompanied by her husband, Yoni Batat. Rabbi Stein is here, so we're all here together, and it's time for us to bring in Shabbat. This week is also, by the way, Parashat Shemot. We begin reading in the book of Exodus, begin reading the story of the Jewish people's struggle for justice and the Jewish people's national story that's rooted in justice and in standing up to Pharaoh. We'll hear more about that later on. Tonight now, we're going to begin by lighting our Shabbat candles, and I encourage you to go grab your Shabbat candles if you haven't done so, and go set them up. You can take a minute to do that now, or if yours are already set up, you can join me in lighting them and in reciting the blessing so that we can gather the beautiful light of Shabbat into our homes. Please join with us as we sing the blessing.
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik Shel Shabbat.
Amen. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Let's now greet the angels of blessing as we sing Shalom Aleichem together.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei
All right, Shabbat is a time to give thanks. So let's take a moment as we sing Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, this meditative version of Psalm 92. And I invite you just to close your eyes before we begin, and just to, again, amidst all the turmoil of the world this week, we really need to focus on gratitude, on the things for which we're grateful. So Tov Lehodot L'Adonai, it's good to say thank you to Adonai, to the source of life. Please join with us, and I encourage you as we sing together with Leah and Yoni, consider the blessings that you have in your life on this Shabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב
Now, let's climb up this mountain, right? We're in the regular days of the week, but now we're going to climb up into the day of Shabbat, into a day of holiness, which is at a higher level. So let's go up that mountain. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Let's go stand at the holy mountain of God. Also, these words come from the Psalms for Shabbat, for Friday night. We sing, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
Romemu
We're ready for the Lechadodi now. We're ready to greet Shabbat, to say, come Shabbat, bless us with rest and goodness and blessing, which we so badly need for our lives. And you can see on the screen that the words in the second verse, Sof Ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. What does that mean? Sof Ma'aseh. It's the last one to be created, right? After all of creation came, the last thing that was created was at the Sof, at the end, was Shabbat. But b'machshava tchila, the verse says. But it was in God's mind first, is what this means. But tchila is at the beginning. God's intention from the very beginning for all creation was for us all to get to Shabbat, for us all to experience the goodness and blessing that Shabbat would bring. So this is part of it. This is what it's all about, is that that we work the whole week in order to get to Shabbat. Some people think that the purpose of Shabbat is to rest so that when Shabbat is over, you can be fully energized to go do your work in the world. And that's a good opinion. But the other opinion is also good, which is that actually we work all week long in order to be able to rest. We work all week long so that we can taste the sweetness of the world and taste the sweetness of Shabbat by resting, because God had that in mind at the very beginning. So let's now, I invite you to join with us as we sing L'chadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Come, let us go out, right? Even as we're all isolated in our homes, let us go out in our spirits, out of the walls that might confine us, into the countryside of northern Israel that you might see on your screen, and let us come and greet Shabbat and bring it into our hearts.
Pnei
So now let me invite you to close your eyes and to feel your body in whatever place it's in, on the couch or in a chair. It's in Shabbat. We're all in Shabbat. And now I invite you to take in a deep breath, to breathe in the blessing and the rest and goodness of Shabbat. A deep breath. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. It's great to have everybody here. We're going to put you now in breakout groups for just a few moments so that you can greet a handful of other people, Temple Sinai members, and all of our guests as well. We welcome everybody. And so if you don't know people, introduce yourself to them, wish each other Shabbat Shalom, and we'll call you back and continue the service in just about 2 minutes. So hit the word join breakout room on your screen, and you'll be able to go and greet a handful of people to wish each other Shabbat Shalom. All right, let's see. There's some people who may be frozen. I don't know. All right. Andre, Shabbat Shalom. I don't know if you can hit join group. Estelle, can you join? Great. All right. And we have a bunch of other people. Kelly Greco is here.
I've been invited.
Pardon?
For some reason.
What's that?
Said I haven't been invited.
Okay, let me find where you are and I will reassign you, and that will give you a button to push.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sure. No problem. Okay, Estelle, now you should see a button.
I
All right, great. No?
There we go.
All right. Beautiful. That was beautiful, you guys.
Shabbat Shalom. Yes, really nice. It's really fun to pray with you guys.
It's such
Fun
a
for
pleasure for
us.
us. We're noticing everything was lower than we expected today.
It's being on the West Coast.
Something, yeah, we just dropped in our range. Yeah.
All right, we just have 2 more people join, so let me put them into. All right, maybe another 15 seconds and I'll close the breakout groups. And I'll try not to end the Shabbat service like I did a few weeks ago. Okay, so I'm going to close and it'll take about 60 seconds.
Great.
Andre, great to see you. Shabbat Shalom. And they're the Mundus girls. Hello. Shabbat Shalom. Hello, Maria.
Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Mike. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
There's Molly Jackson. Shabbat Shalom. And Caroline and the gang. All right.
Yes, Shabbat Shalom. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, Susan.
Shabbat shalom. It's so nice to see everyone.
Hi, Rabbi. Yes. Have Shabbat Shalom. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, all. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Steve and Judith. And everybody else. Lynn, we're wishing you Shabbat Shalom.
I unmuted again. I got muted.
Shabbat shalom. It is just so wonderful to be together. I'm going to ask everyone to put themselves back on mute, and we're going to continue with the service. And it just feels really good to see all of your faces on the screen, to be together, and we'll continue with the Baruch, the call to prayer. I invite you to rise if you are able. Shema, we listen. Shema, we listen deeply to ourselves, to that part inside of us where God's presence is. And we recognize that it connects us to all that exists, everything, to other humans, to other nature, etc.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vad Ve'ahavta את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלבתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי Vitem kedoshim leloechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etchem be'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet.
Micha, Mocha, we celebrate the journey from slavery to freedom and the takes to get there.
So we're going to sing actually a new melody for this. I'll help you. We'll do a few times of Yai Lai Lai at the beginning so you can get a hang of it. It's an old Chabad melody that I've played a lot with my klezmer band. So I hope you enjoy it. Yai Lai 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 Yai Lai 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 Yai Lai 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 Yai Lai
Thank you for sharing that tune with us. You bring more joy into our Shabbat as we get to experience new tunes and dance with it if we feel so moved. We'll turn now to the Hashkivenu, the prayer, asking God for protection at this time of dark, this time that is known as scary, as a dangerous time, and we're asking God for protection.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Mehamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim.
We'll move into our Amidah prayer, our standing prayer, and offer an opportunity both to pray together and an opportunity for personal prayer. And I want to just point your attention towards a part of the section that we read together. We've said this, that God remembers the acts of loving kindness from our ancestors. And will also bring redemption through those acts. And I'm thinking about it as we witness this week, people really just thinking of themselves. And the way to think about what is true redemption is when we all can do acts of chesed, do acts of loving kindness with those around us. And that's actually what God remembers. That's what will bring us all redemption, are these acts of loving kindness. So I invite you to rise if you are able as we begin the Amidah together.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chatzadim Tovim, Ve'koneh hakol, Ve'zocher chasdei avot ve'imaot, U'mevii gula livnei v'neihem, Leman shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah.
We invite you into a moment of private prayer or reflection.
Oseh shalom imromav, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei Tevel. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ויראו שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ויראו
Amen. Amen. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yoni and Leah, thank you so much for leading us. That Oseh Shalom reminds us of the power of prayer. Prayer lifts up our spirits and reminds us of who we are, who we can be, who we want to be. So in that spirit also, I'd like to offer a prayer, especially given everything in this past week, a prayer for our country. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, bless this country and all who dwell within it. Inspire us to unite, to affirm once more the sacred image of you within all our diversity. Give us strength so that cruelty, subjugation, and violence may be banished from the halls of leadership. Help us to experience the blessings of our lives and circumstances so that we may be vigilant, compassionate, and brave. Strengthen us when we are afraid. Give us the resolve to stand up for justice. Help us to taste the sweetness of liberty, that we not take for granted the freedoms won in generations past or in recent days, that we may heal and nourish our democracy, that it may be planted, that it may be like a tree planted by the water whose roots reach down to the stream. Source of all life, bless us with renewal, with a new start, with a new opening for new possibilities. Guide our leaders with righteousness, strengthen their hearts, but keep their hearts from hardening, that they may use their influence and authority to speak truth and act for justice. May all who dwell in this country share in its bounty, enjoy its freedoms, and be protected by its laws, and uproot bigotry, intolerance, misogyny, racism, discrimination, and violence in all its forms. May this nation use its power and wealth to be a voice for justice, peace, and equality for all who dwell on earth. And may we be strong and have courage to be bold in our action and deep in our compassion. May we take to heart your words, V'yesh tikva la'acharitech, that there shall be hope for that which comes to you next, from the prophet Jeremiah. And may we work for the day when justice shall well up like waters, righteousness like a mighty stream. And together we say, Amen. Amen. And now a prayer for people in our community, people in our world who are dealing with illness. And God knows there are many, many people who are suffering, especially during this pandemic. And we think of those people who are dealing with the pandemic and its side effects and all of the ways that it's bringing suffering to them. And we also think of all the other people who are dealing with other issues and other illnesses. And we ask God to bless them all with rifuat nefesh u rifuat guf, healing of body and healing of spirit. Tonight in our community, we ask God's blessing for health and healing for these individuals. Karen Matheny, Robin Barenholtz, Amy Perlman, A.B. Haupt, June Zeiner, Jim Zeiner, Jody Kleiman, Gilbert Kleiman, Ronnie Meckler, Allison Santucci, Meredith Fine, Selma Grubert, Luann Luce, Ben Slavitt, Alan Brackup, Evelyn Opat, Samantha Kramer, Ann Fenton, Elaine Ober, Nancy Benak, Joan Tiemann, Larry Lowenthal, Don David ben Ezer Vechaya, Michael ben Bluma Ushmuel, Shoshana bat Moshe Ubella, Shoshana bat Chana Umeir, Pinchas ben Miriam, Davida Emanuela bat Yechezkel Ephraim, Ephraim ben Malka Rachel, Hanan Ashre ben Moshe Umiriam, Yeira bat Sarah, Chaya Sheva bat Bela, Liora Maya bat Devora Leah Umedad Dani. Please name others as some people are already doing in the chat. For those whom we're asking God's blessing, and together we'll use the words that Moses used when his sister Miriam was sick. Anna, Elna, Rafana La. Please, God, bless them all with healing, with rifuat hanefesh u rifuat haguf. Anna, Elna, Rafana La. Anna, Elna, Rafana La. Anna, Elna, Rafana La. Anna, Elna, Rafana La. Rafana La. And together we all say, Amen.
Amen. Again, I'll say that it's really, really wonderful to see everyone tonight and to be together. A lot of us are still reeling from the events that we witnessed on Wednesday, but I actually want to take us back to earlier that day. I want to take us back to the emotions, at least that I was experiencing earlier in the day. I awoke Wednesday morning, glanced at my phone, and immediately felt a sense of pride, a sense of inspiration wash over me, a feeling I had not felt in 4.5 years since Hillary Clinton was nominated as the first female presidential candidate from a major party. I was inspired by politics. The organizing efforts in Georgia had increased voter registration among people of color even since the November election. They had successfully registered over 1 million new voters. Reverend Raphael Warnock had won a seat in the Senate, and at that point, it looked as though John Ossoff would win his seat as well. I'll admit, I was happy with the results of the election, but my feeling of pride went much deeper than that. The reason why Georgia, known as a red state, despite one of the largest Black populations in the United States, went blue both in the November election and earlier this week, was due to the incredible organizing efforts, mostly from women of color. Stacey Abrams, Nsé Ufot, Latasha Brown, Melanie Campbell, Tamika Atkins, Helen Butler, Deborah Scott, just to name a few. These women have dedicated their lives to ensuring that people of color and other disenfranchised voters have a voice. That by registering and helping these people vote, they could potentially change the outcome. They recognized that voices were not being heard and that they too deserved a say in politics. Their resistance came not through violence, but rather through seeing people and letting them know that they matter. Their lives matter. This week, we read the opening chapters of the book of Exodus, Parshat Shmot. The Torah portion begins with a new king coming to power and the slavery and the oppression of the Israelites. And then we witness the acts of resistance by several key women in this book. First, we are introduced to the midwives, Shifra and Puah, who are commanded by Pharaoh to kill every male Israelite baby. Not only do they defy his orders by letting them live and caring for these babies and their families, but they lie directly to Pharaoh's face when he confronts them about it. This is the first recorded act of civil disobedience. They say, "Sorry, Your Majesty, but the Israelite women just give birth too fast. We can't get to them in time." What chutzpah. Why do they risk their own lives to save these Israelite babies? The Torah says they feared God, Vatirena. The 12th century French commentator Rashbam points out that the same word, Vatirena, just without the little yud that's there, also means they saw. What did these midwives see? They saw God in each and every baby that was born, and they knew that their lives mattered. They could not and would not be responsible for throwing them into the Nile, but rather work to save each and every one of them. Next, we meet Yocheved and Miriam, who are Moses' mother and sister. Yocheved gives birth, and knowing that her son was to be killed, hides him for 3 months before sending him away. She also continues to nurse him even after Pharaoh's daughter finds him. Miriam, who worked for Pharaoh's daughter, helps put that all in motion. There's an incredible midrash that talks about how Miriam's fierceness enabled the Israelites to continue giving birth. After hearing of Pharaoh's decree, her father Amram, an influential Israelite, divorced his wife Yocheved and encouraged other Israelite men to do so as well. Miriam confronted him and said, "What are you doing? Pharaoh's decree may be to annihilate all the male Israelite babies, but what you are doing eradicates all future Israelites." Amram realized she was right, and the Israelites continued to reproduce despite Pharaoh's orders. Here, the Israelite men give up. Because they cannot forcibly reverse Pharaoh's decree, they give up on counteracting it altogether. Miriam, by contrast, understands that resistance is multidimensional. Though the Israelites cannot physically overpower Pharaoh, they can oppose him simply by continuing to exist and nourishing one another. And finally, we watch the heroic acts of the daughter of Pharaoh, who defied her own father and knowingly saved and raised an Israelite baby Moses as her own, even bringing in his own mother to nurse him. Here too, the text notes that the daughter of Pharaoh saw Moses, Vatiraehu, and was compassionate towards him. These women knew Pharaoh was oppressive and unjust. Through their vision, through their own compassion, they brought new Israelites, including the future leader Moses, into the world and defied Pharaoh. Their seemingly simple but deeply powerful and audacious acts resulted in the redemption of an entire people. Like Shifra and Pua, Yocheved, Miriam, and the daughter of Pharaoh, Stacey Abrams and these other Black women had a vision. They saw individuals, their own community, and the communities around them as people who are worthy, whose lives matter, and who deserve to have a voice, to have a say in the policies that affect them. And they had a vision of resistance. Their resistance involved talking to people, asking them what they cared about, encouraging them to vote, and helping them cast their vote. It involved going door to door and making hundreds of and thousands of phone calls. Many of us actually participated in those phone calls. This vision of resistance relies on seeing the divine presence in all people, as recognizing them as individuals who can make a difference with one single act. And with each of those single acts, with each of those ballots cast, came new leadership, a new administration that must prioritize their lives and the lives and well-being of all people. The Exodus story is continuously passed down from generation to generation. It is the story of the creation of the Jewish people, a nation that moves from slavery, from oppression, to freedom, to the promised land. This would never have been possible without the heroic acts of resistance from the women in these first few chapters of Exodus. Now let us learn from their example, and let us follow the heroic acts of resistance from these women in Georgia to fight for and achieve the liberation of all people, to work towards achieving an American dream where each individual is seen for who they are, where all lives actually do matter, and to build a society where justice, dignity, and chesed are at the heart. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koach. Thank you so much, Rabbi Talia Stein. Thank you. Yasher Koach. We're going to take the spirit of those words now and turn to the next prayer in our service, which I think embodies those and inspires us to move forward, as Rabbi Stein has told us. The words of the Aleinu, in which we're told that it's our job to engage in tikkun olam, litaken olam b'malchut Shaddai. Please rise for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. על כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהרה בתפארת עוזך, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
We recite Kaddish on this Shabbat for these individuals, and that's what we'll turn to next. First, we remember these individuals whose yahrzeits fall this week in the Jewish calendar or in the secular calendar, as their family members prefer. And we remember them all. Irving Binney, Sherry Brand, Y. Lorimer Lori Kaplan, Ida Klein, Ronald Goldner, Adam Gordon, Kathleen Eric Hardoon, Claire Haar, Dr. Felix Heimberg, Lillian Honig, Scott Jack, Joseph Karp, Don Katz, Jürgen Keller, Arnold Kirshen, Harold Landy, David London, Iris Seufer Miller, Richard Missan, Richard Mushlin, Murray Reich, Marion Birkenmeyer Sandell, Betsy Charlack, Abe Schwartz, Laura Sheldon, Dolores Abraham Simon, Arnold Single, Dr. Sumner Smith, Frederick Marshall Stack, Richard Allen Stone, Morris Sugarman, and Mary Weinstein. And in the period of Shloshim, the past 30 days, we remember these individuals and we offer our condolences to their family members. We remember Karen Lebo Wassman, niece of David Feingold and Dory Mintzer. We remember Mark Seidel, uncle of Isaac Seidel Gori. We remember Zachariah Zach Korf, grandson of Lynn Shayevich. And Lynn, we offer you our condolences. And we remember Yaakov Agmon, friend of Amos Lassen. You can, as other people are doing, name others in the chat box, or you can recite their names out loud if you wish. Others who you are remembering this week in your life. And together as a community, we'll rise now. If you're not already standing, please rise. And together we'll recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, praising God, who is the source of life and love and caring in the universe and in our own lives as well. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chaye chon uvyom echon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv ve'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalme almaya, yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh, V'itadar, v'itale, v'ithalal, shmei de kudesha, brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. May God send comfort to all who mourn and send blessing to all those who experience suffering. And together, may we build a world of peace and may we all find peace. And together we say, Amen. Amen. All right. It's great to see everybody. Shabbat Shalom. So glad that you've joined us now. It's my pleasure now to turn to Charlie Homer, president of Temple Sinai, for some Shabbat announcements. Let's see, Charlie. All right. You're on. There you go.
There we go. Takes a minute to unmute. Let me also just add just my feeling about how wonderful it is to see so many people joining tonight. Clearly, we felt the need for community, and clearly the service has brought that community together. So thank you all. Thank you, of course, to Leah and Yoni for beautiful music that lifts our soul. Thank you as well to Rabbi Stein for your words elevating the role of women of color in the current era and women in the biblical era, and teaching us about what real civil disobedience is about. So thank you so much. So a number of announcements. First, let me remind you, as you've already seen in the chat, to invite all of you to join to the Oneg afterwards, and the link is in the chat. Tomorrow morning, we have Shabbat Morning Minyan, which is led, of course, by our rabbis, but also Temple Sinai members will read Torah and Haftorah, and there'll be a Devar Torah discussion, which Rich Marsh will be leading for us. There are a number of activities which take place every week at Temple Sinai, and I want to remind you of those. On Sunday at 9:30, we have our Daf Shvui, which is a reading of a page of Talmud. On Tuesday at 10:15, we have a Friendly Faces conversation, just a chance to drop in. And Thursday mornings at 10:15, we have our Thursday morning study group. I want to point out as well that this Sunday we have another program of our Building Bridges, Temple Sinai and Reform Judaism, Sunday the 10th at 3 p.m. And this particular topic is going to focus on inclusion in Israeli society and public policy, and will be led by Ofer Erez, who is the first transgender person to serve in the Israeli Defense Forces. I also want to mention a number of other events that are taking place in our and in other adjacent communities relevant to some of the activities and events of this week that we've been discussing. So our Temple Racial Justice Book Group is meeting Monday at 7:30 p.m. If you're interested, please contact Tammy Coleman or Rabbi Stein. On Wednesday, the URJ Religious Action Center is convening a session on healing, hope, and action, the capital insurrection, where we go from here. That's at 8 p.m. and registration is via the URJ's Religious Action Center website. And on Thursday night, the Vilna Shul is hosting a session on Politics is for Power, How to Make Real Change with political scientist Eitan Hirsch at 6 p.m. Registration is through the Vilna Shul site. An advance notice that next Saturday evening at 5:30, we have a racial justice Havdalah and conversation on MLK weekend next Saturday at 5:30 p.m. So thank you again and Shabbat Shalom.
Great. Thank you, Charlie. Yes, so lots going on in the synagogue. We definitely want to encourage people to observe Martin Luther King weekend next weekend, as Charlie just said, with Havdalah on Saturday night. One other event that requires a little bit of advance action, which is our Tu B'Shvat Seder, the next Jewish holiday. We're about to begin a whole string of spring holidays, starting with the holiday of Tu B'Shvat. Our congregation will celebrate it on Saturday, January 23rd, which is not tomorrow night, but 2 weeks from tomorrow night. So we've got 2 Saturday night events in a row. Next Saturday is Racial Justice, Martin Luther King, Havdalah. And then the Saturday after that, the 23rd of January, is Tu B'Shvat. And we want to encourage everyone to join us for a special Tu B'Shvat Seder that night. And if you register by this coming Friday, a week from today, January 15th, then you can get a Tu B'Shvat box prepared by Zippy Ostroy and Elaine Ober, who are running the Seder with Rabbi Stein. And that box will include all sorts of fruits from the land of Israel, or that are connected to the land of Israel, that you'll use in the Tu B'Shvat Seder. So I'm putting in the chat box right
Rabbi Vogel, you're still muted.
Have I been muted this entire time?
Not the entire time, but just the last little bit.
I see. Sorry, I must have muted myself by accident. That's like kicking yourself in the head. Anyway, I don't know where I left off, but you have to register for your Tu B'Shvat box by Friday in order to get it, and it will include all sorts of items that you'll use at the Seder. So go ahead and register now. You might as well do it right now so that you can participate with us on Saturday, January 23rd. All right, great. Thank you. And Charlie, I think that you mentioned that tomorrow morning we have Shabbat morning services. So again, please join us for that. All right, we're going to conclude now with the Kiddush blessing. There we go. There's, in case you forgot what the Temple Sinai's building looks like, we wanted to just make sure that you get a chance to see our beautiful temple side. That's what it looked like this morning. No, it's not true. But all right, here we go. Let's raise our cups to make Kiddush, and then we're going to bless each other before we conclude with the blessing over challah. So if you're holding a glass of wine, I see Steve and Judy Bernstein have their wine. Raise your cup as we join with Leah in the Kiddush blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu Zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim. L'chaim. And now, I invite you to raise your hands in blessing as we bless each other. We ask God's blessing for each other, right? This is Jewish tradition on Friday night to recite these words from the book of Numbers, the oldest blessing that the Jewish people has, to say, may God bless all of the people who are dear to my heart. So as a community, we'll offer these 3 lines of blessing. We ask God's blessing for each other for shalom. May God bless you and protect you. May God shine light upon you and be good to you. May God smile upon you. May God smile upon our whole community. May God smile on all those whom you love and bless you with shalom. Amen. And we'll conclude now with the motzi. So you can raise your challah or, take a bite of the one on the screen. Let's join together in Shabbat's blessings over challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.